All right, let's answer some of these questions and wrap this thing up because the Advil haven't kicked in yet. I need to supplement and augment the Advil with something a little stronger, something in liquid form and not NyQuil. All right, questions. Cousin Vin, what's something about the industry that people get wrong all the time? Wow. I got a couple of thoughts about that. I'm going to defer that until I have a chance to really think about it some more. Because there are some things that the average fan doesn't really understand, but I don't know that I want to go down that path just now. Brian Roll, could Dallas, Houston, and San Francisco eventually have two teams if other cities decide to not fund stadiums? I don't know. I don't think Dallas wants a second team. Jerry Jones doesn't want to share that stadium. He doesn't want anyone else horning in on the Cowboys turf. Anytime there's talk about maybe a team going to San Antonio, remember the Raiders were looking into that. The Texans and the Cowboys don't want that. And the mayor of Dallas wants to put a team like at the Cotton Bowl. Jerry Jones doesn't want that. I think it's far more likely that we would see teams moving into small markets with smaller stadiums than to have two teams in big markets, but not so big that they would readily welcome in a second team. Another Bay Area team, hey, if the Raiders and 49ers didn't hate each other, they would have shared the 49ers stadium. That would have made a ton of sense. Now, look, this whole Vegas thing, they kind of tripped into a pot of gold with it. But because the 49ers and the Raiders had a horrible relationship, the 49ers built their stadium and there never a thought they were going to share it. So I don't know, maybe, possibly. If owners keep getting the door slammed in their face, teams have to go somewhere. I saw today that the clock is ticking on the Buccaneers and their stadium situation. 2028, their lease expires. They could be a team that pulls up the stakes and moves unless they get what they want. Hey, you got to give us what we want or else. Eventually, there's going to be a community that plays the or else card, and that's going to be that. We'll see how it goes. Kansas City, Missouri, Jackson County, Missouri, already down that path. They may try to put the toothpaste back in the tube, but they're facing losing the team, even though the Chiefs would just be going across the border. All right. This is Andy Matty. Do you think the Dean Spanos ego will get in the way and ruin what Jim Harbaugh is trying to build for the Charger franchise? I don't know that the Spanos, I don't know what the problem is with the Chargers. With the Chargers, they're the Rosanna-Danas of the National Football League. Every year, it's always something. That's a very dated reference that I use from time to time. And those of you who are my age or a little older or a little younger would appreciate it. It goes back to the early days of SNL. But injuries have been an issue. And then if it's not that, it's this. It's coaching decisions, the nonsensical aggressiveness that we saw from Brandon Staley. I think Jim Harbaugh is going to be great. And the best thing they could do is get out of the way and let Jim Harbaugh do his thing. Lord Davey, a lot of Cowboys chatter today. These three main guys are going to get done before the season. Dak, Micah, CeeDee. I think CeeDee Lamb gets his deal because he held out. Micah Parsons isn't going to get anything because he didn't hold out, and he's not holding in by any indication that I've seen. He's content to wait his turn. He shouldn't be. And it's weird to see, first of all, people in the media who decide to write a whole article based upon one of my opinions. First of all, thanks for the pub. Second of all, do you really have nothing else to write about that you got to write a whole article about something that a dumbass like me said? And yeah, Micah Parsons should have held out. He plays a position with a heightened risk of injury. He's far more valuable to the Cowboys than what he's going to make this year. He should have held out. But, so many of these fringe sites that cater to the fans of a given team, they take that team position. And there's so much of that going on in the NFL. I haven't written about this yet, but the NFL Players Association wants to restrict access to locker rooms out of privacy for the players. I can understand why players would be hostile to the media because the media, in many respects, is hostile to them. And especially these team-specific blogs and websites that cater to the fans of the team. So just like the fans, they're rooting for the laundry. Just like the fans, they're against the players. Shut up and play. Be happy with what you have. Why are you complaining? You're already overpaid and you want more? That kind of stuff gets old. But anyway, I'll push back against all of that and say Michael Parsons is underpaid and he should want more and he shouldn't wait his turn. But he's not going to get a deal because he is waiting his turn. CeeDee's going to get the deal, and I think the other two won't. And with Dak, it's going to play out until after the season. And he's going to have to decide, is he going to leave or is he going to stay? Plain and simple. Once he gets an idea of what else is out there. And I think this is a case where the Cowboys may want him to know what's out there as early as possible so they can understand whether or not they're going to keep him or they have to find somebody else. I think they hope that there's a number, more than whatever they'll offer, that he'll say no to. And that they'll get the benefit of that gap. But there'll be a number above that where he says, see you later, Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to go play for a new team. This one is from Blues Fan Base, and I can't tell whether this person is being sarcastic or not. For someone that hasn't followed closely, what's this NFL Sunday Ticket lawsuit you keep mentioning so that I can understand more? I mean, we've been all over it. And what you can do to get a full understanding of everything that's happened in the case, you go to the front page of PFT. We have a separate tab we've created with all of our Sunday Ticket stories where you can just scroll through them and you can get up to speed. Go all the way to the bottom and work your way up. The latest one is at the top and they work their way backward. But if it was a real question, and for those of you who haven't been paying attention, and I always hate, and I remember when I was a kid, I always felt horribly inadequate when I was trying to follow the news for the first time because the story's been around for a while. They just assume you have a certain baseline understanding of it. And you try to read it, and it's like, I don't know what this is. What's this? So, Sunday Ticket case, very simple. The NFL has a broadcast antitrust exemption for the purposes of selling its games to over-the-air TV. And at the time they set this up, it was a given, supposedly, as uttered before Congress by former Commissioner Pete Rozelle. It would only apply to over-the-air, three-letter network free TV. In any pay TV system, it would not apply. Since then, the NFL just acted like it exists for cable games, for satellite games, for streaming games. They act like the exemption still applies. Well, it doesn't. According to the jury in LA, doesn't apply to satellite, doesn't apply to DirecTV. So when the 32 teams come together under the auspices of the NFL and sell these rights and require them to be priced at a certain level, that's an antitrust violation. That's what it's about. And it's also about the most avid fans of the NFL being overcharged by the league through an antitrust violation so that they could get Sunday Ticket because the NFL wanted to protect the relationships with CBS and Fox. At the end of the day, if this stands, you're going to get a check if you subscribe to Sunday Ticket from 2011 through 2022. Let's see. NFL fan with the Rob Lowe wearing the NFL hat as the avatar. Raiders are a complete mess between no quarterback, a recently promoted interim coach with no experience and $20 million plus in debt, and doing Mahomes frog jokes when he's 10-2 against them. Can they actually get more than 5 wins? I find it extremely unlikely. The thing that the Raiders and the Chargers and the Broncos will have going against them for the next decade, if not longer, is that Patrick Mahomes is in their division. I think the Chargers are going to give the Chiefs hell this year. I don't think the Broncos and the Raiders are ready to. And I think the thing to watch is Devontae Adams getting traded at the deadline, maybe to the Jets if they're any good this year, if they're competitive, if they contend, if not to the Jets, someone else. Because next year, Devontae Adams' salary goes to $36 million. I don't see him staying with the Raiders after this year. Once it's clear the Raiders are done this year, if it's clear, and remember the trade deadline is the Tuesday after week 9 now. If it's clear, I can see him getting traded. But yeah, between Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell, are they going to be good enough to contend? Are they going to be good enough to compete? They responded well to Antonio Pierce last year, and we advocated for Pierce to get an opportunity. But I thought they were going to take a quarterback. I thought they were going to, and they got, they kind of got screwed. With the 13th overall pick, 6 quarterbacks were gone by the time they were on the clock. So it made it hard to go out there and address the most important position on the team. All right, what else do we have here? Chad Weichert, will anyone wear a Guardian cap in a game? Once I saw the picture of the Chargers with that skin over top of the Guardian cap, I thought, you know what? It's just a matter of time. Just a matter of time. And why wouldn't you wear it? It's safer. And it doesn't look as bad as I thought it would look when you put that little cap over top of the Guardian cap. So I think players will. I absolutely think they will. And because the Chargers are practicing as they play and they're out there with those Guardian caps on, with the skin over top of it, I think you're going to have players who have fewer qualms about wearing it in a game. Now that they've seen it, now that they've experienced it, now that they're around it, they may be more willing to go out there and wear it during a game. K. Trinata is elite. I know you said the franchise tag isn't going anywhere, but wouldn't the jump to 20 games be the time for players to make that push? Also, is there any endpoint at the moment for the extra third rounders for staff promotion, or does it seem that will be a forever thing? I know that there are some teams out there that grumble from time to time when there's a minority candidate who becomes a GM or a coach with another team, and the team that previously employed the person gets a third round pick. Look, the NFL has had for decades, an issue when it comes to diversity. The people who run the league versus the people who play, the proportions are way off, and the NFL has admitted it. They've admitted it. After Brian Flores filed his lawsuit in February of 2022, Troy Vincent admitted it. So even if this isn't a perfect solution, it's a hell of a lot better than the way it used to be. As it relates to giving up the franchise tag in exchange for 20 games, the NFL is never, ever, ever giving up the franchise tag. Even if the NFL would go to the union and say, hey, will you share the $14 billion with us, 50%? We'll take away the franchise tag. I don't think they would. I don't think the NFL would, because the franchise tag allows teams to keep their best players without having to worry about how in the hell are we going to keep our best players. That's the fail-safe, and it becomes the leverage in the long-term contract talks, and it becomes the thing that keeps a guy around. That's why the Cowboys are twisted in knots. They can't tag Dak Prescott after this year. That's why Caleb Williams wanted that provision in his deal with the Bears. And that's why the Bears said no. They don't want to give up the franchise tag. That is the way to keep everyone's pay in line. Because when the best of the best players can't go out and get market value, there isn't that rising tide that lifts all boats. All right, let's see what else we have here. Manuel Villa, have you had any crazy fan interactions? You know, every once in a while I wonder if somebody's going to come up and punch me in the face, because I'll say on social media, if I ever see you anywhere, I'm going to come punch you in the face. I don't take that seriously, which probably means I'm going to get punched in the face soon. I fall into that category where, for the most part, the reaction I get is a look of vague recognition, but they don't know why they recognize me. Like, aren't you that guy from that thing that I can't remember what that thing is, because you're completely out of context. So, and I'll see when the wheels are turning, and I'll see when they start to figure it out. And sometimes they'll say something to me, and I don't get approached enough for me to be like, oh God, here we go. And I understand. Hey, look, these are the folks that keep the lights on. We got a lot of people out there that read the site. We got a lot of people that watch the show. I try to respond to all the emails I get. I can't, but I respond to plenty of them. And if I see anybody, I mean, without question, you see me out somewhere, come up and talk to me. I'll say hello. I'll take the picture. I'll sign whatever you want me to sign. If you want me to make it worth less than whatever it's already worth by putting my name on it, I'll do it. Good mood, bad mood, I don't care. And it really is dumb. And I give this advice all the time. Like, if you're a player and somebody comes up to you and wants to take your, and it's different. I mean, there are certain moments where I'm like, can I just be with my family or whatever? But still, the time that it takes to comply is roughly the same amount of time that it takes to say no. And if you comply, you got somebody who's going to be happy forever. And anytime your name comes up with their friends, family, whoever, they're going to say what a great guy this was. Flip it around. If you act like an asshole for the rest of their life, anytime they think, oh, screw that asshole. Let me tell you about him. So it's really a simple proposition, folks. If you're fortunate enough to be somebody that folks happen to recognize, whether it's I know immediately who you are, or it's like Are you? Either way, embrace it. Embrace it. Shit, it is a small price to pay for the life we get to lead. So, and also, again, it doesn't happen enough for me that I've gotten to the point where I just enjoy it. It's nice it's nice for me to see that there actually are people out there who read this shit and watch this shit and actually pay attention to this shit. That shit makes me happy. Let's just call it right there. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your question. Ask it next week. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.